Hello, and thank you for joining on this interview today. The first question of the day is, what is your name and your age?
I'm Donna Meyers. I will be 77 years old on the 17th of June.
Oh, that's coming up.
Yep.
Okay, then diving into the more important questions, I guess you could say, is first off, looking back, how do you perceive time now?
Well, time goes by fast, and it's very important to me now. Using time to find and know the Lord is the very most important use of time, as long as you use what you learn and share it with others.
And then, kind of piggybacking off of that question, would you give any message to younger people about the importance of using their time wisely?
Yes, you only get one chance at each minute, so it's best to use it for the best purpose,
Yeah.
to learn about God and follow what He says.
Have you seen a trend over the past number of decades for people wasting more time, do you think? Or has it always...
Definitely,
Yeah,
definitely,
yeah.
especially with games and things and video games and on the internet. And
I think it kind of correlates with the how work has become a bit easier to accomplish, with the technology. So that leads to more in productivity.
right.
Um, for our next question, over your lifetime, how has money played a role in happiness and security?
Well, money plays less of a role when sharing in real happiness with people of all ages and family. When I was left alone to fend for myself at one point, it became much more of a necessity for survival. It caused me much worry for a while. And when it was sufficient, it was more of how can I use some of it to do and fill the needs of others. And that was really special to me. I sponsored one child for each of my grandchildren and born on the same day when possible. So it was really nice. And my grandchildren would write to them too, and they would correspond back.
So then, in your life, have you seen, as the more money you've had, the more happiness you've had? Or is it kind of like being able to give away? Does that correlate to happiness for you?
Yes, being able to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For our next question, moving on to a little bit more of how you deal with people, what is one of the most important things that you've learned about dealing with people over your 70 plus years?
Well, it's so much better to deal with people with love rather than uh, with aggravating feelings like getting angry or bad thoughts or revenge. It's much better to deal in love.
Now, so some people might say that, and it's easy, in theory, but how have you been able to deal with people in love versus your first reaction or instinct?
Um, you got to pause and think, if you can. But lately, in this last situation, it's been very difficult, and I didn't always, act in love.
Yeah, yeah, it's probably for most people. That's why it's something it took many decades to
Yeah.
learn, I suppose. Um, what is one of the biggest lessons that God has taught you over your lifetime?
Always have patience and pause before I respond. It's, if possible, talk to the Lord about it first before responding.
Now you seem more like a bit quieter, a bit more slow to speak in some ways, but have you always been that way, or is it something that you learned?
Um, I think it's more or less, I've had a tendency to always be that way.
Because I know some people, they realize being too quick to speak gets them in trouble. So
Right.
it helps if you got a head start on that from just that being your natural inclination. For our next question, what was there any key to? I don't know your relationship history, but do you have a key to marriage? Something you either learned in a prior marriage or something that you would say um, taught you about what is necessary for having
Well,
marriage?
the most important thing is to always be truthful, no matter how serious the talk or the action or the events. And always act in love, through love, no matter what. And do not put yourself first, but be humble.
So for that honesty, love, humility, I guess you could summarize. What would that? What does love look like? Because we've mentioned love a few times. How would you describe love, just for the viewers?
To do what Jesus would do.
For our next question, and this ties into Coventry a bit. First, how long have you been involved with Coventry Church?
Since I was dedicated as a baby.
Okay, so your whole life, pretty much.
Except for the years when my parents divorced between the ages of 4 and 10.
Okay.
I was not a member, and I was the naughtiest kid you'd ever want to see because I missed my parents. I missed my mother.
So then, as we approach the 300th anniversary of Coventry Church, how has God used Coventry in your life to mature you as a Christian?
Well, Coventry gave me the chance to represent them at annual conference and district conference several times. And this led me to meet others with different life experiences, and it let me meet CPT, Christian Peacemaker Teams, which they've just changed their name this last year to Community Peacemaker Teams. And it was, they gave me, I met them they had representatives at conference, and I met with different people there, and one of them had been to Nicaragua and had adopted a child from there. And so through Christian Peacemaker Teams, I got a chance to go to Nicaragua 3 times, to Colombia twice. And as a member of the Culp family, I was able to go to Nigeria. And Stover Culp from our area was the first Brethren missionary there, and he established the Brethren Church in Nigeria, which was larger than the Brethren Church here at the time I went. But Boko Haram was taking over, and it was a little dangerous then. But they treated me like royalty since I was related to him, and they made sure I was safe, and it was a wonderful experience. And then I went with the Brethren Church to the Ukraine one time, and I shared my testimony with them in Russian, and that was really, really special. And as I said before, the pastor and I corresponded for several years. I'm not sure what happened, with him. He was older. He may have passed away. I don't know.
So mostly then, evangelism and outreach, it sounds like, is what you were really involved with when it came to Coventry and the Brethren.
Right, and I learned from these experiences how fortunate I've been to live here, and I've been a member of Coventry Church.
Fantastic. And then finally, what was an event or moment from Coventry Church that you will never forget?
My baptism. by Reverend Kuiper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you felt or thought in those moments?
Well, I knew from my experience as a child when at the church I had been going to when I was not with my parents, that they gave me a picture of Jesus. I had tried to memorize a verse, didn't get it quite right, but they gave me the picture anyway. And I looked at the picture and I held it out my bedroom window and I prayed that the Lord would bring my mother back. And within 3 months, she came back with my grandmother from California, and my parents got remarried.
Wow.
And I got to go to Coventry again.
And that was at 10 years old, right?
Right.
Wow. And that probably was like a life-changing
That was,
moment.
definitely. I knew Jesus heard me.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Donna, for
You're
sharing
welcome.
your little bit of your testimony, a little bit of how God has worked in your life, and how you can use what you have learned over the years to share with others. Do you have any last comments or anything for the viewers before we sign off?
Coventry's a wonderful place. Enjoy it and love the Lord.